What is up, people? Happy Sunday evening. Hope this fits some of your schedules. Happy to see you in here. Know a lot of you want to know what's going on at Titans training camp. Have a lot of questions about the week ahead. I'm going to hop on here and tweet out that we're in here. And if you would do the same, that'd be wonderful. Tweet it, share it on Facebook, pass the word as you see fit, and we'll get going in here. I had it up and now I don't. Mash up. But I'll find it here in 1 second and we'll get going. Happy days with kicker action in Metro Center. How exciting is that? Very exciting. Here we go. Very exciting. Biggest concern being addressed to some degree. I know that you have to be excited about that. So, Sam Ficken in. Blake Haubeil out. Hope is, for your sake, based on what we've seen, that Tucker McCann will, in fact, be out at some point too. So maybe Sam Ficken can outdo Tucker McCann, which I don't think will be very difficult. And you'll get an actual kicker. Sam Ficken, I believe, I tweeted out his numbers earlier, 13 for 15 on field goals with the Jets last year. Both misses were from 50 or beyond. He was 12 of 15 for on point after. So not terrible by any means. You'd like the PATs to be better. Field goals, it's not a huge sample size, but it's not better. Christian Fulton was not in a lot of team stuff on Saturday. Thank you for the anniversary wishes, Travis Cooper. 4 years ago today, paulkuharsky.com launched. So those of you who were there then, thanks. And those of you who have come on since, thanks. And those of you who are checking me out tonight and are not members, let's get you on board. We'll talk about that a little bit through the course of tonight. I was trying to pay special attention to Fulton on Saturday. I watched him during individual period. They were blocking a sled and then coming off the sled and wrapping up a giant ball that was rolled at them, the defensive backs, the cornerbacks. But then he was not involved in a lot of team stuff. So can't say too much about him. Cornerbacks had a better day yesterday. Defense had a better day. Offense is falling out of sync a little bit. Not great rhythm, not great timing, a lot of slipping, a lot of falling, a lot of disjointed rhythm the last 3 days, really. And Tannehill's been a little off, but the defense has a little bit to do with that, certainly. Jackrabbit Jenkins came to life yesterday. I've been wondering about him. He was kind of noisier and more energetic during the minicamp, and he hasn't been that. Still seemingly a little bit quiet compared to what he seemed like he was during minicamp. But Mike Vrabel said something he said before the other day, that energy comes from production. He doesn't believe leadership comes from production. That's funny. But he believes energy comes from production. And Jackrabbit Jenkins produced 2 interceptions on Saturday, so it's hard to complain about him. Can't really talk in detail about Farley on the side, so I don't look at Farley on the side. But, he seems like any other guy on the side. There's no estimating his timetable based on anything that we've seen. So I'm a bit of a downer. So Major Mark West wants me to be excited about Tucker McCann kicking like shit, apparently. You're welcome for doing this. I'm glad you appreciate me. I don't know, Mark. Everybody in town is a big cheerleader. So you've got all the cheerleading elements that you want. So if you want a 10th cheerleader, or you want the one guy to give you an honest assessment? Seems to me like there's, first off, I was here first. Secondly, I don't know why you'd want another cheerleader instead of somebody that gives you the honest scoop. I picked the Titans to go to the Super Bowl last year. I think the offense is fantastic. So a lot of people, hear me say negative things and presume that everything I say is negative. I've got a story that'll post on Facebook and be tweeted out in the morning about how Ryan Tannehill's national perception is way off. That's a positive story, but nobody will pay any attention to it because I'm negative Nelly. I mean, it's too early to talk about the cornerbacks really without Farley out there, with Fulton limited. Borders has been really good, but the more they get into more space, the more his lack of speed will become an issue. So he's been really good so far. As I said, Jenkins emerged on Saturday. Haven't noticed Fulton a lot, and he wasn't doing a lot on Saturday. Other guys, Kevin Peterson's running with the twos. Elijah Molden has had some real moments. He had a good Saturday. But it's hard to judge that group in totality, and they'll be in pads on Saturday, so some of those guys will have a chance. Kyle, I opened up talking about Sam Ficken. I think interesting guy, is certainly better than Blake Hobbeal by a lot. 13 of 15 last year. His misses were from 50 plus, and excuse me. 12 of 15 for PATs. You'd like better there, but that's a pretty good season for the Jets. It's hard to get much out of the outside linebackers. I don't know that Weaver's outranking anybody. Radens is getting a lot of work. Fitzpatrick, I'd put in a group of 4 receivers that are very intriguing right now, with Marcus Johnson, with Chester Rogers, and with Nick Westbrook-Akina. Very good. Tart looks very good. Explosive. Going to be very curious to see him on Tuesday in pads. They're not cutting Kaiser anytime soon, but he's not very good. Where would you like them to address backup quarterback? And look, they had, quote unquote, proven backup quarterbacks. They had proven backup quarterbacks, Sean, in Blake Gabbert and Castle, and they sucked. So I'm not against the Logan Woodside approach. Coach up a guy who you like a lot and you think is really smart, and then give him a chance. So the ceiling for Blake Gabbert and Matt Castle, it wasn't very high at all. So if your starting quarterback went down and those guys were your backups, you were screwed. Now, if Ryan Tannehill goes down, you're screwed. But at least you don't know what you have in Woodside, and there's some potential upside there. I don't know who this fantastic backup quarterback you want is, but he's not available to them. And during free agency, they had so many needs and so little money in the big picture that backup quarterback simply couldn't be a place that they spent a lot of money this year. So you have to pick your spots for depth. And if you can't get a premier backup quarterback, those guys are all the same and they all suck. When will you see if Firkser has progressed? Well, maybe not till opening day. I mean, Firkser is a very good pass-catching tight end. He's not going to run away from people. He's not going to run over people like Johnny Smith did, but he's a very reliable target, has a knack for getting open. They can scheme him open. But, I think even if he's gotten markedly better on the blocking end of things, it could be hard for him to block a defensive end or an outside linebacker. And they're not going to ask him to do that if he can't do it. He'll do it a little bit more often than he was doing it before. I think Kevin Byard saying, he's going to be one of the greatest tight ends around is kind of crazy if you look at the greatest tight ends around. You want to trade for a backup quarterback, you're giving up resources. The Titans have already given up some resources. I don't answer questions that are a name and a question mark. Pads come on Tuesday. Well, Tannehill is better than whoever's playing in Houston because I don't expect Deshaun Watson to play. He's better than the situation in Indianapolis. I can't imagine that Carson Wentz returns to his best form right away, and now he's got the foot injury. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good, but I don't know how good he's going to be right out of the gate. So I think for this year, the Titans probably have the best quarterback situation that anybody in the league. Jim Wyatt's a great guy who's got a different kind of job now. The CBA allows them to be in pads tomorrow, but I'm told that they won't be in pads until Tuesday. Monty Rice has made some plays, but I think it's relatively hard to track inside linebackers and the kind of stuff that they've done so far before you can come up and lay a lick on a guy. He looks fine. I'm not excited about an inside linebacker being drafted. I'm not making a prediction on the season at this point, and I probably won't. If Ficken's my favorite to be the kicker, absolutely. Yeah, Major Mark, these are kind of questions that don't do well here. How is Downing commanding the guys out there? Well, he's a coach who's controlling the offense. So how is he commanding them? He's commanding them. That's his job. Like, I don't know what you're looking for there. Nobody that's in command of football players is meek. You know, his voice is a little bit louder than Arthur Smith's. Is that exciting to you? Not trading for Xavier Howard. Farley or Fulton? I mean, no reason Caleb Farley, healthy, wouldn't be starting over Christian Fulton, healthy. Well, Brad, I would happily eat a whole bagel. I would just have to chop it up now because of my tooth issues. And the Titans addressed the kicking game today, just probably not to the degree that makes you happy. But, I mean, Ficken kicked in the league effectively last year. So that's a huge upgrade from the two guys who were competing for the job yesterday. Reynolds does not look healthy. The one video I had of him, if you look back over stuff that I posted, either on Instagram or on Twitter, where you should be following me, it was a one-on-one rep coming right at me in the corner of the end zone. He came off the line without a lot of burst, maybe one to the corner, but did not make a very strong play on the ball. He did not finish practice on Thursday or Friday and hasn't been seen since. Something was off with him during OTAs/minicamp, and I don't think he's right. That's the general consensus of the press corps, that something's not right with him, which is unfortunate at this stage. It's given more room for all these receivers that we've been talking about, that 4-pack that I really like right now, to be doing well. And to be getting snaps higher in the order, but he's not doing much right now of meaning with Tannehill or in the offense. Sales pitch, paulkuharsky.com, best place for Titans insight, analysis, conversation. As you can see right here below me, $5.99 a month, price that you spend for a cup of coffee or a cocktail. You can get 12 months for the price of 11 months. It's a steal at that price. Most of the time, these videos are just me and members, so the riffraff questions go away. Everything I write, scouting reports pre and post game from Blake Bedingfield, who was a scout for the Titans for 19 years. It's well worth your while, so I encourage you, come over, sign up, try it out for a month. If you don't like it, you can unsign up, but you will like it. So join us. People in here who are members will vouch for it. They love it. They stick around. The retention rate's very high. And I look forward to having you join up. Are they limiting Lewan reps? Lewan, I don't think, has been in one team rep. So that's beyond the limiting it. There is no reps. There are no reps. Happy member, Zero. Appreciate you. Yeah, Bo, it's hard to give you a defensive unit that's most promising because without pads, the defensive line is tough to read. Outside linebackers is tough to read. Dan's got no legs. Don't know yet. Hopeful. Depends on some factors still. Hopeful. Evans and Hill joined Rodgers and the other punt return guys, Batson and who am I forgetting? Rodgers, Batson, and come on. Rodgers, Batson, and one more guy. I mean, they don't look any different than anybody else's punt returners. They weren't over there for a long time. A lot of times it's just off the machine, working on very basic, mechanics of fielding a punt and getting running, not running behind a blocking scheme or running against a scout team coming at the blocking scheme. So, I think the defense has to be better. Here we talk to CJG. I mean, they changed a lot of personnel. 6 or 7 guys at the top 12 are newcomers or guys with new roles when you're counting guys like Tart or Amani Hooker. I mean, that's a massive turnover, and I don't think it's due to one or the other more. I think it's in sync. I think the secondary, the intention is for those guys to be much more aggressive, much less passive, though you hear that and then you see guys lay off 8 yards at the snap. So hopefully we'll see less of that. Pass rush can't be worse than 19 sacks, and those weren't all from pass rushers, but especially once Dupree's out there. And I don't know what the timetable on that is, but I'm disappointed they didn't do more behind Landry and Dupree, but it's got to be better. It's got to be schemed up better. The players are better, and the players have to play better. And that maybe is the number one thing. And, if Wyatt Ray is out there as the third pass rusher and he's not doing shit, then he's got to get yanked out. The next guy's got to get a chance, and they got to do those things quicker than slower. They have options. Do not type one name and a question mark. You're wasting your time. I don't know who Ligma is. Where else could they go but free agency for the kicking game? Trade? They're not going to be trading. They're going to get a guy who's somebody's second kicker right now. So, hi there, buddy. How you doing? You got any chocolate? Have any chocolate? No, thank you. Nate, I don't know if you really understand how football practice works. I mean, this is a defense. Have I seen an improvement in the defensive scheme so far? No. I can't tell the difference in a defensive scheme so far. You don't know. They've worked a little bit of third down, but if they're working on third down, they're working on third down period. So I'm not seeing them build on defending a first down play, defending a second down play, defending a third down play consecutively, and seeing what that looks like and what the shift in personnel is. I'm not seeing Dupree and Farley involved. There's a lot of things that aren't on display. It's not like they're out there for 4 days and it gets the equivalent of watching 4 games. I mean, I think Todd Downing will have to do a lot of bad things to fail at this job. I think he's smart enough to pick up on a lot of what Arthur Smith was doing. He'll add his own twists to it, but he's also got excellent personnel. I mean, he's got a very good offensive line with one turnover spot with some options at right tackle. He's got the best running back in the league running behind those guys. He's got a quarterback who understands everything they're trying to do and can do it. He's got a great receiver in A.J. Brown coming back. He's got a number 2 wide receiver that's better than what they had in A.J. Brown. And, Firkser is a sufficient pass-catching tight end. Darrington Evans is something that Arthur Smith didn't have to deal with. This team on offense has people. So I think Todd Downing should do well. Shane Bowen is a little bit more of a mystery, but he's got upgraded personnel as well. Downing, you're expecting to have a top 5 offense. Bowen, you're expecting to, get inside 20. If he could be 15 to 20, that'd be a monumental increase for the Titans and should be enough if the offense is doing its part for this to be a very good football team again. Vrabel's not on the hot seat. If they had a terrible year, Vrabel's not on the hot seat. This idea that he would be on the hot seat if they didn't win the division. So you think if they're a wild card and they went into the playoffs, that Vrabel would be in the hot seat? It's crazy. I don't think that Vrabel believes in dress rehearsals the way that Larry, that Jeff Fisher did. So I don't know that we'll necessarily see that. Yeah, I don't know that Evans gets a backup when Evans is working as the third back. And Brian Hill's not a lock for the roster. Jeremy McNichols was pretty effective in his role last year. He's injured right now. So Brian Hill could just be a guy. I think a lot of people are putting too much into him so far. Jim Schwartz, everybody's got a lot of input. They sit down at a meeting room on a Tuesday, and all the defensive people are there to contribute. Well, I don't think Tart is depth. Tart is starter. You've got Autry, Tart, and Simmons as a starting defensive line. Then Murchison is the question on depth. He would be the 4th guy. And then after that, you're pretty thin and you need some people to emerge. So I don't think the depth is very good there at all. I think they got 4 people on a 3-man line, and they're going to need another 1 or 2. Well, Mike Keith talks up everybody. I don't know what Vrabel was doing during that dance thing. I mean, this is kind of an odd question, Bren. Why are there not more than 32 decent quarterbacks? Why are there not, more than 6 superior pass rushers? I mean, it's a supply and demand league, and there's not a ton of supply. If there were, more than 32 of a lot of positions where you only need 1 guy, they would probably expand the league. College doesn't develop kickers is the number 1 reason. Look what I'm not a huge college football guy, but Alabama gets away with having bad kickers all the time. So if it's not a premium spot that gets developed, reliably at the best college program in the country, I don't know why it's such a big surprise that there aren't a lot of good ones coming to the NFL. And the Titans aren't working very hard to go find one. They haven't used a draft pick on one. They haven't gone and found the next guy like they did with, Suck Up when they were at the end, like they did with Nedney when they were at the end of a guy. I think that the Titans are happy with Woodside. And I think that you are crazy to presume that Bortles is better. And I don't think Woodside's great. I think Bortles sucks. Is Rashaan Evans getting any work on the D-line? Rashaan Evans is not going to play any D-line. Rashaan Evans is not going to play any outside linebacker. Rashaan Evans is not a pass rusher. He's never going to be a pass rusher. Tannehill's not been, super on the last 3 days. Doesn't mean he hasn't made some very good throws. It's just not been, like on fire start to finish. It's 3 days of training camp practice. That's all it is, Joe. I don't think they're in any hurry on Gostkowski. It would be better for them. I haven't looked up how old Ficken is, but it would certainly be better for them if they found a young kicker who could take off and be the next guy, and that didn't leave them in a year-to-year situation. Everybody who's on Twitter, retweet this right now, please. How many 2021 draft picks start? Start at the beginning of the season. Start by the time it's over. Farley should start if he's ready. Healthy. But they'll slow play him probably. Radens should start. I don't know if he will. He should. Monty Rice isn't starting. Elijah Molden could be the starting slot. So that's a starting spot. That's it. Fitzpatrick's not starting. Weaver's not starting. McMath's not starting. Breeze shouldn't be making the team. So that's it. But, Farley and Radens should be starting sooner rather than later. Molden, I think, should be nickel sooner rather than later, though they might split that job up, he and Fulton, if they're healthy across the cornerback position. Rice will start in a year. That's the best you could hope for. Is Evans gone after this season if he doesn't play at a ridiculously high level? Yes. If he plays at a ridiculously high level, he's also gone, because then somebody will see value in that and pay him more than he's worth. Evans is terrible. It's a bad pick. He didn't do anything well except short yardage / goal line. Very unimpressive. Farley is a cause for concern, right? It's not. My wife had a microdiscectomy a couple weeks ago. I don't know, Chris Frazier, what makes you so confident that Rashaan Evans is going to be better? The best marker for future performance is past performance, and he's had 3 years to get better. He hasn't gotten better. Probably gotten worse. Doesn't read things well, doesn't have a good football instincts, and doesn't seem to really – I'm not saying he doesn't care, but he thinks he's pretty good. He's got the same defensive coordinator this year that he had last year. It's all of it's Shane Bowen's fault. None of it's Rashaan Evans' fault. God forbid you blame the guy not making plays for not making plays. It has to be somebody else's fault. Joshua asked, what's the odds makers? What do the odds makers have the Titans winning the Super Bowl? I don't know. That's a very easy thing to find if you've got any of the odds making apps or Google. Their odds for the division certainly went up with the news about Wentz's foot. So Roberson's injury, there's no update. We don't even ask Vrabel about guys that go off now. It's pointless. You're not going to say anything. So just report what we see. Kinsey was the last punt returner. So somebody was saying one name to tell me the punt returner, which is good that you're helping me fill in a blank that I have, but you still got to give me context. Will Autry free up Simmons more this season from double teams? I don't think Autry's going to draw double teams. So doubtful. But Autry will penetrate more than Daquan Jones did. So that's a name I didn't mention. Naquan Jones could be the 5th defensive lineman. He's a promising undrafted rookie free agent. What's the scoop on the money laundering with Julio Jones? I asked him about it yesterday afternoon. He said basically it's not true, but that his legal people are handling it. So, the sound of dogs barking never gets old. Bill, why can't you listen to me where I am? Local radio sucks. It's dying. So just come listen to me where I am. There was a day that I could hit some field goals of length with no rush. Those days are long past. Yes, they signed Sam Ficken. They got him off waivers from the Jets. Tart, big, physical, grown a lot since last year, a lot smarter, a lot more kind of instinctive and comfortable. Should be a good player for them if he stays healthy and keeps it together. I was disappointed up until yesterday in Jackrabbit Jenkins, Brett, but he had a good day yesterday. 2 picks, hadn't brought much energy as compared to what he did in the minicamp, but he did. There's one person, Titan Bones, who might have asked Julio Jones about that, but I'm not going to sit and wait for somebody else to do it. Titans Talk, appreciate the Outkick 360 compliments on Outkick 360 daily from Titans Camp. I come on at noon and give a review of what just happened. We talk about the details and then get into a big topic. So Jonathan and Chad and I have a very good conversation from camp. Taylor Lewan made a quick cameo, came in and said hello the other day. You should be checking that out. It's better than the hokey stuff that you're getting anywhere else where everybody's gushing about everything. Oh, my God, did you see this guy make that play? Did you see him with his shirt off? Unbelievable. You're not going to hear any of that. I mean, some guys are making some great plays, but yeah, it was very unfortunate that I tried to write a tweet from where Taylor Lewan had urinated, and it turned into a thing. I think Naquan Jones is at the head of the line of the rookie undrafteds. Nobody else is reaching out now. There are a lot of second chance guys. You know, those receivers have talked about, Marcus Johnson and Chester Rogers are kind of second, third chance guys. Hooker has been solid, making a lot of plays, doing very well. So I think I'm expecting an upgrade there from late career Kenny Vaccaro for sure. And I think he's somebody to be excited about. Looks good. Looks good. I mean, I think Cam Batson's in trouble from a wide receiver perspective, and he's been fine. But I think they really like big-bodied receivers. I think that's clear and who they've brought in. It's clear that Tannehill likes it. He's talked about it glowingly. So the thing is that Cam Batson's one of the punt returners. You got Batson, Kinsey, Rogers. I would think that Rogers, if he does an equal job to those other guys, is the best receiving wise out of the rest of them. What does he do in other special teams units, et cetera? And then, lately we saw Hill added to that. And I'm never going to be able to list all 5 of them. Darrington Evans. added to that. I mean, it would be ideal for me if Darrington Evans could do it. I don't think any of those guys are going to be any kind of big dynamic punt returner who does anything, spectacular. I need to write about punt returner soon. Miles, I got to tell you, if I had new word on Farley, I wouldn't be waiting for somebody to ask me about it in the chat. Yeah, T. Doris, you got to read. You got to read what I'm writing. I wrote a glowing piece about AJ yesterday that's been retweeted a couple of times. Sign up, $5.99. Get a better take on AJ Brown than anywhere else. Tonight, you get a take on Ryan Tannehill. Includes LaDainian Tomlinson, who watched practice the other day. A rare national guy who gets it with Ryan Tannehill. And a lot of commentary on why national folks don't get it with Ryan Tannehill. It's a piece you're not going to want to miss. That piece alone is worth a cup of coffee or a cocktail. I swear it is. What else we got? Thank you, Titans Talk. Anything else, or shall we call it a night? Yeah, this elite conversation is ridiculous. I mean, I think Tannehill, well, I'm going to leave it for the piece since this is a freebie. I think I need to drink more water. How about you? How much water do you guys drink a day? Oh, it's early for wide receiver. I think Julio Jones and A.J. Brown and Josh Reynolds make the team. For sure. I mean, I think there are 4 guys right now that look like legitimate contenders. Des Fitzpatrick is going to make the team. Right. Des Fitzpatrick is going to make the team. Then you got Chester Rogers, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and Marcus Johnson, to me, who all look viable at this stage. But there's a long way to go. When the pads come on, the most interesting thing automatically is then pass rush one-on-ones, right? Offensive line versus defensive line. And a lot of people will still go to watch wide receivers against defensive backs, which goes on at the same time. I think Radens should win right tackle, but I suspect Lamb will start there on opening day because they just are so intent on slow playing draft picks. It's what they do. Oh, Hudson was the third tight end before Stocker got here. Sad about Bradley Moore. He really hurt himself with that knee injury that landed him on IR today. But most guys, maybe it was more than an ACL, because most guys, when they go down with something like an ACL, I don't think it's that incredibly painful in the moment. And you see a lot of guys walk off under their own power. He was hollering pretty good for a little while and went off on the cart. Lamb until Dillon is ready. I don't know why Dillon can't be ready. Is Stocker number 1? Firkser is number 1. Way too early to tell about somebody like Weaver. Yeah, Reynolds is absolutely the third wide receiver, but he hasn't looked anything. He's looked not explosive, and now he's out injured. Look, nobody's been on him about kicker more than I have. But today they picked up off waivers a guy who kicked in the league last year, hit 13 of 15 field goals, only missed twice and they were both from 50 or over. So that's forward progress. Definite forward progress. Yeah, you missed kicker combo, Christopher. You can go back. You'll find plenty. All right. Got a couple more minutes if we got a couple fresh questions, and then we will call it a night. I don't know, 13 for 15, and he's only missing from over 50. That's a problem. Reynolds, look, none of these guys are going to have assigned positions. Julio, AJ, and Reynolds are going to move around a lot. Now, Julio's been, working primarily on the right, and Brown primarily on the left. But I don't think they're going to have a dedicated slot guy. I think they're going to use all of them in the slot and be very much a matchup team, depending on who the corners are on the other team and who the nickel is on the other team. Undrafted corner. Peterson, I think, has been around. He made the team on the off the tryout. Oh, I don't think there'll be any COVID forfeits. I think the vaccination rate is awfully high. It's going to be sufficiently high enough amongst the 53-man rosters that it's not going to be a problem. Brown is different than any wideout they've ever had, so that takes care of that. All right, people. I think that's been a pretty good conversation, especially for beyond the membership. I ask those of you watching who are not members, check it out. $5.99 a month, a steal at that price. You can get a year for the price of 11 months. I welcome you in, and I enjoy having these conversations. I have them more frequently with members only. A couple more questions here. Do I get the same feeling of Firkser being a sleeper this year? No Titans fan is going to let him be a sleeper. You guys are all acting like he's Antonio Gates. Yeah, there aren't that many passes to go around. I don't think he's going to put up any kind of giant numbers. We've addressed the Cosell on Outkick 360. He backed out of his deal. I understand the reasons he had for backing out of his deal, but I think, you got to sort that stuff out before you agree, not after. And I think he's been a lame friend. Not so much for backing out of the deal, but for what he's done since. I mean, if everybody's healthy, I would start Farley and Rabbit. Yeah, the U.S. will get crushed. The USC team will get crushed by Mexico tonight. Berhalter is in over his head, no matter who, what quality U.S. team he's rolling out there. McMath looks great so far, but again, it's 4 days. Was I not putting McMath in that group? I should have put McMath in that group, so it was really 5. So Fitzpatrick's in, and then who did I say? Rodgers, Johnson, McMath, and Westbrook-Ikhine. So it's a group of 5 with those 4, I think, fighting it out there. No idea on Farley's time. Starting corners right now, presuming that Fulton is healthy, or Fulton and Jenkins. When Fulton falls out, then Borders is probably up. Because Molden's strictly a slot guy. So it's Fulton. Jackrabbit's number 1. Fulton would be number 2. And if Fulton's out, then presumably Borders is next. Too early to call McMath a clear cut to make the team, though they love him as a gunner on punt return. So they could be receiver heavy on account of the special teams contributions to come. Molden's had 1 or 2 terrific practices. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the slot when they're entirely healthy, and they've got some flexibility there. All right, don't block the box, do lock the locks. Tomorrow, Outkick 360 starts at 11. Straight Titans talk at 12. I'll be at camp talking to you from the practice facility. Look forward to it. Thank you for coming in here. Tell your friends. Subscribe. You get in the private Facebook page is another bonus of that. Going to go throw a question down there right now. Look forward to it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.